In this video, I'm going to go ahead and walk you through test number 12, target A. How can we interpret piecewise functions within a real world scenario? So our first scenario is us buying t-shirts for a math club. The t-shirt company will charge you according to the function below. So here's f of x, and the total cost of the shirts so this is going to be the total cost. That's what this sentence is saying. And then anywhere we see an x, that's going to be the number of shirts. So in part A, if you can get 51 members of the math club, how much will 51 t-shirts cost? So 51 is the number of shirts according to the members here. And so we're going to go ahead and use our inequalities. 51 is greater than 50, which means that I'm going to only be charged $8 per shirt. So 8 times 51 is going to be $408. Now, don't worry about doing this math in your head. I'm going to give you a calculator. So you can go ahead and multiply 8 times 51 pretty easily. So 51 shirts will cost $408. Part B, evaluate f of 51 minus f of 50. Explain what this means in this scenario. So when you are 51, you are going to be using the inequality that we just found, right? 51 shirts cost 408. So we already have that answer. That's $408. And then we're going to go ahead and subtract that by f of 50. So f of 50, let's go ahead and do that off here to the side. F of 50 is going to be when we, f of 50 is going to be when you're equal to 50. So that's going to be this inequality, which means that we're going to be using 10x as my equation. So 10 times 50 is going to be 500. So I can go ahead and put $500 here. So when we subtract those two numbers, basically what we're left with is 92, really a negative 92, according to the order here of my numbers. So this is going to be a negative $92. What this means is basically this is the difference in cost. So essentially what you're doing is if you have, if you order 50 shirts, they're going to charge you $10. But if you order 51 shirts, you're saving money because they're only going to charge you $8. So that 92 is really how much money you would save by ordering one more shirt. You would save $92 if you bought one more shirt All right, let's go ahead and look at C. Evaluate f of 30. So f of 30 is going to be this inequality here. Let me put this in green actually. So we're going to be using 10x. So f of 30 is going to be 10 times 30, which is going to be $300. So this is the cost of 30 shirts. Now we actually use this in part D because we say we end up with 30 members who want to buy a t-shirt, but you want to sell the shirts and make $100 profit. So how much should you sell each shirt for? Show the work below. So we know that the cost of 30 shirts, I didn't finish my sentence up here. The cost of 30 shirts is $300. So that's the cost, right? If the cost is $300 and I want to make a profit of $100, I'm going to tack that on. This is called our revenue, right? It's a fancy word, but really it's the cost plus how much you want to make, which in this case is $400. which means that each member, right, if there's 30 members, we're going to have to take that 400 and we're going to have to divide by 30. When I do that, use a calculator, you get $13 and you get this 0.333 repeating, which in money, it's just going to be 33 cents. So each member should pay $13.33 for you to earn $100 in profit. All right, the next scenario was a tax bracket. So we did a how do you pay taxes activity. So definitely look back in your notebook for that activity. Our numbers are a little bit different on the test than they were in that activity, but it works out the same in the sense that we need to identify what our income is. In this case, it's $100,000, and you have to use that to figure out which equation you're going to use to calculate the amount of taxes that are owed. So 100,000 is in this tax bracket, which means that I'm going to be using this equation. Definitely use a calculator here. So instead, let me go ahead and write this all out. So instead of writing an X value, we're basically going to substitute in $100,000. So I have $100,000 minus 95,375 plus 16,290. Don't forget that we are multiplying by this 24% here. When I plug that all into my calculator, my final answer is 17,400. So the amount of taxes owed is $17,400. So in part B, we say, hey, place a point on the graph that represents your answer. So my income was 100,000, so we identify that. And my taxes, if we go all the way up from 100,000, boom, hits my graph right here, which you can see if we go over here to the y-axis, looks to be in between 15,000 and 20,000, which makes sense because we calculated about $17,000 in taxes. So this would be where my solution is. If my income is $100,000, the taxes that are owed are $17,400. There you go.